Ready to live on Mars? If Elon Musk succeeds in his goals, it could become an option soon. It is perhaps Musk's most ambitious goal, one that could keep him occupied for the next 3 decades. It's being delivered in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past, Musk said at the International Astronautical Conference in 2017 in Adelaide, Australia. I can't think of anything more exciting than going out there and being among the stars. In order to achieve this goal, Musk will need more than a few starships. Keep watching to discover how long SpaceX will take to build 1,000 starships. As we all know, Starbase is a private rocket production facility test site and spaceport constructed by SpaceX, located at Boca Chica, approximately 32 kilometers east of Brownsville, Texas, on the US Gulf Coast. When conceptualized, its stated purpose was to provide SpaceX an exclusive launch site that would allow the company to accommodate its launch manifest and meet tight launch windows. The launch site was originally intended to support launches of the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launch vehicles, as well as a variety of reusable suborbital launch vehicles. But in early 2018, SpaceX announced a change of plans, stating that the launch site would be used exclusively for SpaceX's next-generation launch vehicle, Starship. Between 2018 and 2020, the site added significant rocket production and test capacity. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk indicated in 2014 that he expected commercial astronauts, private astronauts, to be departing from South Texas, and he foresaw launching spacecraft to Mars from the site. Between 2012 and 2014, SpaceX considered several potential locations around the United States for the new commercial launch facility. Generally, for orbital launches, an ideal site would have an easterly water overflight path for safety, and be located as close to the equator as possible in order to take advantage of the Earth's rotational speed. For much of this period, a parcel of land adjacent to Boca Chica Beach near Brownsville, Texas, was the leading candidate location. During an extended period while the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, conducted an extensive environmental assessment of the use of the Texas location as a launch site. Also during this period, SpaceX began acquiring land in the area, purchasing approximately 41 acres and leasing 57 acres by July 2014. SpaceX announced that they had selected the location near Brownsville as the location for the new non-governmental launch site, after the final environmental assessment was completed and environmental agreements were in place. An orbital launch of the Starship would make it SpaceX's 4th active launch facility, following 3 launch locations that are leased from the US government. The first tracking antenna was installed in August 2016, and the first propellant tank arrived in July 2018. In late 2018, construction ramped up considerably, and the site saw the fabrication of the first 9mm, 30-foot prototype test vehicle, Starhopper, which was tested and flown around March to August 2019. By 2021, additional prototype flight vehicles were being built at the facility for higher altitude tests. By March 2020, there were over 500 people employed at the facility, with most of the workforce involved in 24/7 production operations for the 3rd-generation SpaceX launch vehicle. When they are all completed and the engineering team is happy, it is hoped the first orbital launch attempt of Starship will happen sometime in the next few months. When the Super Heavy and Starship are combined, they stand 394 feet tall and can carry a payload of more than 220,000 pounds into low Earth orbit, while remaining fully reusable. SpaceX plans to send a fleet of 1,000 Starships to Mars, 100 per year over the course of 10 years. SpaceX is waiting for the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, to give its ruling concerning whether the program can proceed with an orbital flight. The company is waiting for regulatory approval for its first orbital mission. In a series of tweets, Elon Musk revealed new details about his plan to build a city of 1 million people on Mars by 2050. Over 10 years, Musk said he hoped to build 1,000 Starships, the ostensibly fully reusable spaceships that SpaceX is developing in South Texas. That's 100 Starships per year. Eventually, Musk added, the goal is to launch an average of 3 Starships per day and make the trip to Mars available to anybody. It needs to be such that anyone can go if they want, with loans available for those who don't have money, Musk wrote. Not enough to convince you to leave Earth behind? There will be lots of jobs on Mars, he added. An illustration of SpaceX's planned Starship rockets on the launch pads of a city on Mars. If realized as designed, Starship would be the most powerful launch system ever created. Each launch would pack enough thrust to send more than 100 tons, about 7 fully loaded school buses worth of mass, and 100 people into orbit at a time. Musk didn't specify what exactly the rockets would need to carry to Mars, but a lot of food, water, building materials, tools, and advanced life support systems are a given. Thus, he estimated he would need a whole fleet of Starships to build a permanent settlement. Megatons per year into orbit are needed for life to become multiplanetary, he tweeted. In total, 1,000 Starships could hypothetically transport about 100 megatons of stuff to Mars. That's the volume Musk has said he hopes to send to the Red Planet per year, with each ship ferrying about 100 passengers. That would make for a total migration of about 100,000 people. Musk also suggested he planned to capitalize on the brief windows of time that the orbits of Earth and Mars align, which comes about every 25 months. That allows spacecraft to spring off Earth's rotation and set themselves on a low-fuel journey toward Mars. Musk said he would take advantage of that opportunity by loading the Mars fleet into Earth orbit, then sending all 1,000 ships on a Mars-bound trajectory over that 30-day window every 26 months. But that seems to contradict an earlier tweet in which Musk said 1,000 Starships would fly to Mars each year, rather than every 26 months. Either way, SpaceX has a long way to go before reaching those goals. Musk also said a new Starship prototype may be launched soon. The first flight is hopefully 2 to 3 months away, Musk tweeted on December 27th. The development of the prototype hit delays after an accidental explosion during a fuel tank pressurization test on November 20th, which blew the top off SpaceX's first 16-story Starship prototype. The company could build as many as 20 different prototypes before engineers settle on a 1.0 design to fly cargo and people. The full Starship launch system would also include a 22-story rocket booster called Super Heavy. Combined, the whole thing would stand about 387 feet, 118 meters tall. During the launch, a Starship spaceship would ride atop the booster, disconnect when the booster's fuel ran out, and rocket into orbit. But parts are designed to be fully reusable. If that vision comes to pass, Musk estimates the cost of a single launch would be just $2 million, which would be hundreds of times cheaper than the current cost of launching a similar number of people and amount of cargo into space on any planned or existing rocket, including SpaceX's own Falcon 9 system. Musk said that he hoped to launch a Starship into orbit and may even fly a person in it before the end of the year. Gwynne Shotwell, the president and chief operating officer of SpaceX, said during a NASA teleconference that the company was aiming to be able to drop Starship on the lunar surface this year and fly the Japanese tech entrepreneur and billionaire Yasuko Misawa around the moon in 2023. However, all of those statements came before the Starship prototype explosion. SpaceX will also have to clear several regulatory and practical hurdles, including securing the safety of the residents of Boca Chica Village, which sits within 2 miles of SpaceX's Texas launch pad, before it can launch any prototypes into orbit. Helping to pay for this is why I'm accumulating assets on Earth, Musk tweeted. However, SpaceX appears confident that it can control the launch and landing of its vehicles, such that any mishaps will not severely damage nearby equipment. This is a non-traditional and possibly risky bet, but SpaceX has always been willing to take risks during development programs in order to move more quickly. These detailed plans also provide more evidence that company founder Elon Musk is all in on Texas for the future of SpaceX. These foreign launch pads, in conjunction with the acquisition of 2 oil rigs named Phobos and Deimos, provide some sense of the company's operational capabilities. The plan is likely to conduct launches from South Texas and land vehicles on these modified platforms, and to fly Starships on suborbital hops from South Texas to these platforms for orbital launches. This effectively provides the Starship launch system with 4 orbital launch pads, and possibly a 5th one, should SpaceX continue to work on-site modifications at Kennedy Space Center. With all this being said, do you still think Musk's SpaceX will be able to make 1,000 Starships in 10 years? Drop your thoughts about this in the comments.